Hello and welcome to my ARMA 3 ALiVE Combat Support System tutorial. Um, Many tutorials have been made on ALiVE, but most of them do not touch on the combat support system. The map I'm going to be using to make this tutorial is Wake Island. First thing we're going to do, set a player down. You could use whatever you want. I usually just use US Army. And infantry, first cav, doesn't matter. Alright, so now that we have our guy set down, we can go in and preview everything after we get the modules set up correctly. Now, here are our live modules. The first thing we need is a live acquired. You most likely know how to set this up correctly already, so I'm not going to spend time going through this. And just link them. Now, for the main reason you're here, the ALiVE Combat Support System. The combat support system is one of, if not the most effective ways to get support, as opposed to going through the regular ARMA support system. So now, what we need is ALiVE Combat Support. We need this marker. You can change the cast spawn limit, transport, and RD spawn limit, as well as the time. You can also set the common item that is used to call in combat support. I'm going to leave it as the laser designator. Usually it's best to leave it at that, because you just need to have it on your person, and the laser designator also has a rangefinder, as opposed to having it set to the binoculars, so it's a lot more effective. So now that we have our combat support module, we have to pick what we would like to use as our combat support. First, I will do transport. As you can see here, you have call sign, vehicle transport type, spawn height, and the code that's ran on the unit, and if you have an initialization or description, you can use that. So our call sign here will be Deadwood 2, and the type of helicopter we're going to use here, we're going to use RHS helicopters in this. So RHS CH_47F. Now this is going to spawn a CH-47 Chinook instead of your regular Huron. So let us link the combat support transport to the combat support module. Next, you might want some close air support. So this is going to be Stingray 5. Now we're going to use the RHS pack again. So this would be RHS AH64D _. Now you could go different ways. You can go anti-air, I believe close support, and ground suppression. I use close support, especially if there's a lot of armored vehicles in the vicinity, because the close support Apache has 16 missiles, 16 Hellfires. All 4 pylons are completely loaded with Hellfires. So if your probability of armored vehicles is going to be high in the mission that you're running, you could run this. And also you could run a second CAS option, if need be, and have that run as something else. So now, finally, for your final option, you have artillery. Now for this, it's the same code, RHS M109D _US US, not AS. I believe it's RHS USF. I believe that is the correct code for that. But what you can do, if you don't know the codes off the top of your head, you can go into up here, your config viewer, and whatever the name is for the unit that you're going to be selecting, whatever the name is in the config viewer, that's what you put here. As I said, it's RHS USF M109D US Army. You can check off what type of rounds you want to have. Now, as you see here, there's a couple of caveats here. You have guided rounds, cluster, laser guided, mine, and AT rounds. As you can see, these are only for the MBT, and the rocket rounds is only used by the MLRS. So you could set those to 0 if you want. And it doesn't matter, you can load it up with as many rounds as you want, it won't change anything on it. And what you also could do is cluster all of these. Let's call this Steel Rain. Cluster them into a group of 3. Now, once you link this to the ALiVE combat support module, these 3 M109s will act in unison as one whole team instead of having one and one. You could probably do that with other modules as well, like the combat support trans and the CAS module, but I wouldn't know that as of now. I haven't tested it yet. So now let's preview the map. As you can see, Wake Island. As we wait for it to load up, let's get an error. Okay, so our artillery initialized, our AH-64 initialized, and our CH-47 initialized. Now what I'm going to do is, here I am, we're going to go to items and grab a laser des, place it on the ground, pick it up. Now in your ALiVE menu, there's configure add-ons, ALiVE. To open the ALiVE menu, you have to have a key assigned. YAP menu on my keyboard is right next to the right Windows key. So I just have it set as that. That's what it was standard. So I just use that. Now when you come here, you get your ALiVE menu, and as you see here, you have ALiVE player combat support. Now for your transport, you see Deadwood 2, which is over here in the middle of the runway. Then you have your CAS, Stingray 5, which is over here. And then for your Arty, apparently it's Fox 7 instead of Steel Rain. Oh yeah, I have 2 of them still named Steel Rain, so it'll stay as Fox 7. Now we want HE. Let's go 12 round. This map might not be big enough to get artillery off. 100 meter dispersion up on Peel Island. Okay. Fox 7, stand by for fire mission. Stand back because this is going to get loud. Firing on target. So now I called in a 12-round fire mission. There's 3 of these, so there's going to be 4 barrages. Or there should be, anyway. Yep. 4 barrages. Now, when you place these modules, wherever you place them is where the vehicle is going to be spawned, and it's also where it is going to land at after you tell it to RTB. Now I'm going to get in the Chinook. It's going to take a couple of seconds. As you can see, I'm using mostly RHS stuff, pretty much all RHS for Blue 4 and Op 4 Independence. I use Late's Op 4. I like it better than CAF aggressors. Now let's ride in the back. Now from here we could either activate our combat support or talk to the pilot. It brings up your ALiVE support tab. Now let's go down to here. Let's land there. Here the engines are spooling up. It gives you a grid coordinate. So as you can see here, it's 054989. Check the map here. As you can see, I have all of this. This is all that's required to set up your missions for a live combat support. You can change the respawn limit and the respawn timer and the common item to be able to call in combat support. I'm Mike, and this is the end of the tutorial thus far.